Конечно.
Masamız aldı. Hayır masayız. Dur, bizi çalmışsan var mı? Aha. Жаңағы нелеріміз асаларымыздан нәрсе бар еді. Ассалаумағалейкум, құрметті бүгін 2026 жыл 21 май санесіне режимдестірілген мәжілісімізді бүгін бастаймыз. Күн тәртібінде 4 мәселе бар. 4 мәселені қоршауға кворум жеткілікті. Сол себеплі мәжілісті ашық деп жариялаймыз һәм сөзді хаттерге береміз.
Good afternoon to you, Chairman and members of the State Attestation Commission, and welcome to this Master's Dissertation events. And I'm going to introduce the members of today's commission. The Chairman of the Commission is Kudabayeva Budzira Kurbanbayevna, Doctor of Science, Professor, Head of the Department of Distance Education in Social and Humanitarian Disciplines, Nukur State Pedagogical Institute. The Deputy Chairman of the Commission is Alamiryan Nubas Hasanbayevich, Head of the Master's Department, Associate Professor, PhD. Commission members, Kurbanbayev Javad Aminbayevich, Candidate of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor, Dean of the Faculty of Foreign Languages. Jolazva Gauhar Batirevna, PhD, Docent of the Department of English Linguistics. Hajiva Delbat Hajimuratовna, Candidate of Philological Sciences, Professor of the Department of English Linguistics. Kudaybergenova Zuhra Urazbayevna, PhD, Associate Professor of the Department of English Linguistics. Kamalova Nigora Bahadirevna, PhD, Associate Professor of the Department of English Linguistics. Allanazarova Firuza Karimberdievna, PhD, Docent of the Department of English Language and Literature, Nukur State Pedagogical Institute. Kaypergenova Firuza Tulipergenovna, PhD, Docent of the Department of English Language and Literature, Nukur State Pedagogical Institute. Saparov Salamat Perdebayevich, PhD, Associate Professor of the Department of English Language and Literature, Nukur State Pedagogical Institute. Arzieva Bibsanem Aynazarovna, PhD, Docent of the Department of English Language and Literature, Nukur State Pedagogical Institute. And today's first defender is Tursunbayeva Shahnoza Avatqızı with her dissertation topic, The Ways and Problems of Translating Types of Predicates from English into Kartalpak, Uzbek, and Russian. Her scientific advisor is Gulniyazov Timur, the internal opponent is PhD Jumametova Dipruza, and the external opponent is Doctor of Science, Professor Kudabayeva Budzira Kurbanbayevna.
Dear defenders, before starting this stage, I would like to inform you that we have some limitation about time. Don't forget about it, and as much as possible, briefly present your master dissertation. Okay? Thank you.
Good morning, respected committee members and dear participants. My name is Tursunbayeva Shahnoza Avatqızı, and I'm honored to be here presenting master's dissertation topic, the ways and problems of translating types of predicates from English into Kartalpak, Uzbek, and Russian. In our interconnected world, translation acts as a vital bridge for diplomacy, education, and cultural exchange. As globalization grows, the demand for high-quality translation increases every day. Why is this important for translation? Because different languages express predicates using completely different grammatical mechanisms. English, being analytical, uses auxiliary verbs like is and has, and Turkic languages like Uzbek and Kartalpak express the same meaning. Conclusion. After completing this research, I have reached several key findings. First, predicate translations is never a simple word-for-word translation. It requires grammatical transformations, lexical adaptations, and syntactic restructuring. The translator must actively transform the original structure in this situation. Second, when translating from analytical English to agglutinative Uzbek and Karkapak, there is a systematic pattern. Auxiliary verb is auxiliary verbs in English becomes affixes in Uzbek and Karkapak languages. Third, semantic equivalence, which is preserving the meaning, is more important than formal correspondence. A translator should change the um, grammatical form if necessary to preserve the meaning. Fourth, context and pragmatics are not optional considerations. The same predicate can have multiple meanings, and only contextual analysis reveals which meaning is intended. Fifth, different predicate types require different translation strategies. Simple verbal predicates may translate directly, while nominal predicates require copy omission, and complex verbal predicates require a tense simplification. Based on these findings, I have identified four effective translation strategies. They are grammatical transformations, lexical adaptations, syntactic restructuring, and preservation of semantic equivalence. To conclude, let me summarize the theoretical and practical value of this research. Theoretically, this dissertation contributes to the comparative linguistics by showing exactly how predicate structures.
Okay, Shahnoz Abakızı, that's enough. Thank you. Now let's move to the question part. If you have members of the state attestation commission, if you have any questions, you are very welcome.
So, what difficulties have you had in translating blueprints from English into Uzbek or Russian?
What kind of
Transformation? What's a structural transformation?
What is the structure of the information?
Transformation. Second question is. Clear?
First one is
How you translate it? Translating predicates from English.
translating predicates from the Karabakh Uzbek and Russian. The first one is grammatical, lexical, syntactic changes. For example, in syntactic problems in English sentences, subject verb object, yeah, and in Uzbek Turkic languages, Karabakh languages, the order of the sentences, subject, verb and object. For example, she reads a book. In the sentence, subject she read, subject verb and object she reads a book, and a predicate, yeah, verb, predicate. And in Karabakh and Uzbek languages, men kitapta okudum. It's a subject and object, and predicate. Also, grammatical transformations is also main problems of this predicate translation because in English sentences, tense and aspect category is also important because they are very developed in English, and while in Turkic languages, these kind of expressions are translated with affixes. For example, he has finished writing. In this sentence, has finished who in Karabakh language, the translation of Karabakh language, ол жұмысты ол жаңа ғана жазып болды. In this sentence, жазып болды with auxiliary verbs and the main verb жазу.
I recommend you to give us exact, brief, and as much as possible complete answers. Are you satisfied? Okay. Next Please, questions if you have.
Yes. I would like to ask you, what kind of methods of translating critical cases from English to Uzbek, Karakalpak, and Russian languages were analyzed?
Okay. There's some methods which we analyze it. The first one is comparative typological methods. This helps us to compare the English constructions.
Şahnoza Abat kızı. Almost all of these members are specialists of the field. And they know that comparative typological method is not the method of translation. Don't mix and don't confuse us.
Okay.
Please, if you have an answer, give an answer. If you don't know, please tell us that we don't know. Method of translation. What all about methods of translation?
Translational analysis method. Translational methods, translational analysis. All of them to study actual translations and determine their level of adequacy. This method is essential to understanding what transformations occur during this translation. Lexical semantic methods.
Leksikosemantik diyorum var mı? Çoğu zaman ona göre kelime örnekler sabahlayayım mı?
So, other questions? Okay, I have a question. From the requirements of the master dissertation, there should be several points in introduction, and I couldn't find the point about hypothetical questions of investigation to your dissertation. My question related with this point. What you predicted beforehand to investigate in your dissertation, I mean your hypothesis on the question, and then the realization, or let's say the improvement of this hypothesis at the end of the investigation.
Before starting my research,
for example, you just mentioned about comparative typological method for translating verbs. You didn't understand before that this is not the translation method, and you decided or predicted to implement this method in translation. But at the end, it was found that this is not for translation, this is just for investigating linguistics. Do you have such kind of predictable questions beforehand, before starting your investigation? Yes, no? I guess no. Okay, thank you. So now we will move to words, speech, and I'm a reviewer of this word, and we try to mention some key points of the master dissertation, especially focusing attention on strengths of the work, and then at the end, nevertheless, the dissertation fully meets the requirements for the master dissertation in the field of linguistics and translation study. The author demonstrates good theoretical preparation, analytical skills, and practical evaluation. This is the summary of this review. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you for listening.
Next, Rahman Alieva Dinoza Armanjan will defend her dissertation titled Cognitive and Lingual Cultural Analysis of the Verbs in